online.
So what are we going to be working on in this course? Here's a brief introduction to some of the topics that we're going to be talking about that'll make you a good university student. Today is just a brief introduction. We're going to be looking at study skills that you need in the university setting. These are going to be a little different than maybe study skills that you had in high school, and we'll talk about that soon. Next, our second session is on time management and note-taking. This is especially important in university because your university life is going to be a lot more independent. You are in charge of your schedule much more than you were in high school. How can you manage your time effectively to be successful in a university setting? Our next session is a really important university topic, which is research. Research, what is it? How do you do it effectively? This is a really important session for your life in university. Next, our fourth session is on reading comprehension. You're going to be reading a lot in your classes in university. You're going to be interacting with a lot of texts and a lot of new topics that you might not know anything about. Reading comprehension is a really important skill to have going into your university classes. Day 5 is probably my favorite topic, which is discussion and debate. This is a really important skill to have in university. It's about how can you have meaningful, critical discussions with your peers, with your university professors to actually develop new knowledge and strengthen your knowledge as a student. And then our last 5 sessions are all about the same topic, which is oral presentation. How can you design and execute effective oral presentations for homework, for tests in the classroom in front of your peers and professors? This is a really important topic going into university, and all of these will work together to make you an effective university student. Okay, with that, let's get started. So first, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the main differences between life in high school and life at university. So what is the difference between high school and university? One of the first things is going to be your schedule and your classes. Your schedule in university is probably going to be a little more free than your schedule in high school. In high school, your classes are essentially assigned to you. You have a lot less freedom in deciding what you're going to study and when you're going to study it. In university, you have a little bit more opportunity to choose when you'll be taking classes. Your classes might not be all at the same time as each other. So that's one of the big differences between university and high school. The next is testing. Tests in university might look a little bit different than tests in high school. In high school, a lot of your tests are multiple choice, or maybe matching. In university, you might find that you're doing a little more writing. Your tests are a little more open-ended, asking more critical questions. Preparing for those tests is going to look a lot different than preparing for more simple multiple choice tests. Another difference is homework. Homework in university might be a little more complicated, a little more complex than your homework in high school. You might be asked to do something that takes a little more preparation and it requires a little more time management from you. And this all relates back to one of the most important differences between high school and university, which is freedom. For a lot of you, this is your first time living on your own. It's your first time managing your own schedule regarding classes, regarding social life. This freedom is really exciting, but you need to be prepared to take advantage of that freedom and to use it to your benefit to be a successful university student. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about today, now that we've talked a little bit about the difference between high school and university, is your learning styles. This is a really important topic going into university because you want to make sure that you are studying effectively for your own learning styles. What are learning styles? These are the ways in which you learn, and everybody's a little bit different. Some people are visual learners. They use their eyes. Some people are auditory learners. They learn by listening better. Some people are reading and writing learners. These are people that like to work with language. They like to write things down, to read from books. And some people, like myself, are kinesthetic learners. These are people that like to move, that like to touch things, that like to work with the things that are in front of them. Why is it important to know your own learning style? It's important because if you know your learning style, you can study effectively for your own style. If you don't know your learning style, then you might be studying in a way that doesn't help you. If you know your learning style, you can make sure that you're studying in a way that you can remember the information and use it effectively on tests. So let's go a little bit more specifically into some of these learning styles. So as I said, the first learning style is visual. These are people that use their eyes. If you know that you are a visual learner, you might want to use images or pictures. You might want to draw. You might want to work with maps. You might want to use mind maps in your learning to keep track of information, to connect information with each other, because these are the images that are going to stick in your head. If you are a visual learner, you're probably using graphic organizers to keep track of different pieces of information and how they all connect to each other. These are going to be good strategies for you as a visual learner. Some people are visual learners. Other people are auditory learners. These are people that like to listen. If you are an auditory learner, you might be doing really well listening to me right now and remembering that information. Auditory learners like lectures. They like sitting and listening to somebody else explain things to them. They might be able to keep track of that information better. If you're an auditory learner, it might be helpful for you to make recordings of lectures, recordings of things that other people say, so that in your own time you can listen to it again and again so that you can keep track of that information. Another strategy that can help you as an auditory learner is what's called mnemonic devices. These are sentences or poems or songs that help you remember certain pieces of information. For example, if you want to remember the order of the division of species and animals and plants and life, you might remember the sentence, King Philip came over 4 good sandwiches, which if you look at the first letter of each of those words, you get kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. That's just one example if you're an auditory learner. The next type of learner is reading and writing. These are people that like to read books, that remember sentences, that remember the things that they write down or that they read. If you are a reading and writing learner, you're going to remember words. You want to assign words, specific words, to the knowledge that you learn. You might have a lot of books and you might enjoy reading your textbooks because that's what's going to help you. You might also need descriptions for images. So if you are a visual learner, you're using images. But if you're a reading and writing learner, you might work with the descriptions of those images instead. So you might, when you have an image, try to remember a description of that image because that's what's going to stick with you when you're sitting at a test. And the last kind of learning, which is my style of learning, is kinesthetic. I like moving. I need to touch things. I need to move things around. I need to work with the world in front of me. If you are a kinesthetic learner, you are working hands-on. You're going to remember the things that you interact with. You're going to remember the things that you do. It might help you as a kinesthetic learner to work with real-life examples, to think of the knowledge that you're working with, and think of real-life examples of that. Things that you have seen, things that have actually occurred in history. It might also help you to move around. I need to move. I need to get up and walk around the room and touch things and assign the knowledge that I'm working with to the world around me. That's what helps me remember it. Your learning style, knowing your learning style, will help you study more effectively and will help you remember the knowledge that you're working with. So think, which style helps you learn the best? Once you know your learning style, you can keep track of a bunch of other study skills. Studying in university is really important. You need to be keeping track of a lot of information, and you want to be doing that effectively. So how can you be a good studier? Here's a few skills for you. The first one is space it out. One thing that a lot of people like to do is get to a test. Tomorrow I have a test, and so today I try to learn everything at the last minute. That's called cramming, and it doesn't help. You might learn it for the test, but then the next time that you need to use that information, you've forgotten it all. Spacing out your studying and doing it consistently is going to be what gives you the information that you can remember for a long time. Consistency is really important. Consistency means you are studying a little bit every day. Instead of trying to study the entire day before you have a test, Study for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour every day, and that'll help you retain the information a lot better. You'll be able to use it. It'll become a part of you. Another thing that can help you when you're studying is to not just reread your notes, not just reread the text, but use it to do something new. So instead of just rereading what you've written, try to reapply it. Find new examples. Play around with it in new ways. Keeping that knowledge alive within you, within your body, within your mind is going to help you use it better. Next, test yourself. When you are getting ready for a test, try to write your own test. See if you can remember the information. Don't allow yourself to look at your notes. Create note cards, flashcards. There's a lot of apps on your phones. There's a lot of websites that'll help you to test your knowledge. Testing your knowledge and seeing how well you remember it is going to be a really helpful skill in preparing for tests and preparing to use that knowledge. Next, understand your mistakes. A lot of times when we make mistakes, we try to find out the right answer, and then we say, okay, that's fine, I know now. Understanding your mistakes is important. Not just, yes, I made a mistake, and here's the right answer, but why did I make a mistake? What happened? And how can I not make that mistake in the future? Next, try new study methods. If you have been studying this material by rote memory the entire time, if you have been studying this material with flashcards the entire time or with graphic organizers the entire time, try something new. New methods, like I said earlier, trying to do something new with the material, new methods will keep that information alive. It'll allow you to use the information in new ways, which will strengthen the knowledge within you. Next, find examples. So instead of just memorizing the information, instead of just memorizing the knowledge, try to find ways to apply it. Find real life examples, find it in the news, find it in the world around you. Test yourself, right? Test yourself with new examples and with new ways to connect that information to your own life. And last, do your own research. Instead of just sticking with the information that you've gotten from the textbook, that you've gotten from the lecture, that you've gotten from your professor, find your own information. Find your own way into the knowledge. Why do you find it interesting? Or if you don't find it interesting, find a way to make it interesting to you. Find a way to make it apply to your own life. This is a skill that will help you not only understand the information, but really dive into the information. Really make it information that is meaningful to you, which is information that you are going to remember. So these are a bunch of study skills that will help you as you move into your university life. So, as you're preparing to move from high school into university, this is a big change. I remember the change in my life when I moved from high school to university. There were some things that I was prepared for, and there were some things that I wasn't. You're not going to be perfect. But learning some of the skills that will make you a good university student, learning your own learning style, figuring out what study skills you need to make you an effective university student, those are going to be the things that make you as successful as possible moving into this new chapter of your life. Okay, I'll see you next time when we learn a little bit about time management and note-taking.